Avenue North. And hopefully this comes up. I need to read the whole square. Pull up 2 windows at a time. I just saw a spare flitting by. You might see that when you watch my broadcast. Now, if you're not watching, this is my diet. And am a few Zetas, and they are using that janitor's room, and they're playing Lisa accessing the pipe. Like so and so, and so there was a trade in play. So and so wanted some slavery for. They're paying for it with human slavery for else or kidney something. Well, I've been the victim of crime for told about off looking for a and then oh sometimes it's I drink tastes like turkey after ooh, will your or bribe their way in and um, they 15 years sorry about that. Then what happens is after someone does something like that, sometimes they're blackballed. And there was a cop involved, and he was mostly Zetas. Also, sometimes when you're blackballed, what people appear as white, or some way to frame you as prejudice, or you are a bigot against crippled people. So they'll often turn to the federal government, and even if they don't, they'll pretend. I think all this kind of stuff is coming to a head. Shootings that I'm not. I have my own problems, and you have a lot, and where they're white, black, or in between. But see, the black Nazis, they are a separatist movement. They're morons. They're deficiency units, like all the people are now in the U.S. anyway. But they want to take your agenda, which includes enslaving the entire world. You might laugh, but one of their goals is things okay in the really it's one crack hole, and that's I don't even call those. They're morons. That's why they're gangs. They also were embraced by Satan. They were embraced not only by Satan, they were embraced by the government. So if you're a moron, you might get a perk because, what else? Well, you get a and how about a drug addict? Oh, you'll get a perk for that. And if you're a person of color that's an addict, an alcohol perk, here you go. Here's everything, and even job. Let's see what else, and you can plot the destruction of mankind, and with while you get people's credit card numbers, or again work on jets. And what else? Well, if you happen to be an alcoholic or a drug addict, they're out of their system and embark on a series of counseling sessions. Not going to be insane anymore. Sure, they could be responsible and be your nurse or in charge of your medical. Oh, your key is just everything. Bums are busy taking. There's chest, uterine, and there's bike on Aurora. They just transferred to the mail. You don't want my chakras out. Why do they use my chakras? So open the aunt's best friend, and we know all about her. All her information. There goes your aunt, and there goes with your chakra. By the way, I'm hearing someone possibly psychically hear people on the phone, and there's a retarded bum playing wrong way, and he's frightened because he's the bike guy. When he's got lots of and an obsession with destroying the whites, and you'll find whites that go and there are no whites in the U.S. Just like here. And they've got some dirty cop involved. I've been witch hunted for 13 years, and I'm the one who wasn't in any survival of the unfittest. I have found those terms. And so basically America is the foulest DNA. Based on, let's give somebody else. Basically the garbage society. Let's just give them everything, they said. World, they destroy nature, destroy other planets. And indeed, nature has been destroyed. There have been other planets. Now, I'm going to go. What I might do is discuss. Now, I will tell you that the retardos are playing the word Linda, and it's typical for to use, but also to play words. And so they, we're going to call everybody Glenn killed, and then we're going to call ourselves to reward them. Are playing Linda this, Linda that. I think comes here. She actually paid alleged rent for the shows that I've paid all my own rent. Message online about and not really about this Linda's claim. Now she claimed she needed rent. First of all, the bums will, because if they claim a false you, including we members who know the procedure. The other day I was saying, well, people, the box delivered to your port, and they sign for you. Game, this title that I've used for other games is in charge of the spirit world because they're stealing my shop. They've boasted of it, and the Eagles dental students. So they will walk around pretending that, oh, yeah, we're going to take all that terrorizing, and then, by the way, Candy, and she's got long reddish brown hair, and she's a white woman, by the way, and she's seen better days. She's in her 50s, and she told me, if you don't get into an automobile, you will be beaten. Now, I'd heard this one before. Why? Because all the stinking bastards of things, how they're going to do this or that too, and they'll repeat it. They'll have strangers repeat it. Maybe 50 people, 100 people in public lean down to tell you the code word for acid in your face. I'm not going to say normal because obviously these people aren't normal. So the game of proximity includes like, oh, well, we're her neighbors. She gave all of us her magic. She gave me chakras. You did this. You winked at me. You did this. So it's 132 million morons playing this game in America. And play, and they're evil spirits, and the base life. And these people were dead, for 13. That's all they are. Did I take it? Check, die, starve you, and see you again about the game of proximity. So, by the way, if you say, well, why didn't you recover and start hurting these people back psychically? Well, the thing is, they've had such terrible advantages. So they steal one thing, it's like opening the door or gateway, then they steal a little bit more or a lot more. Your identity, and they kicks you out, driving business. What else was I going to say? Now they just took the next chakra, and it's a whore guaranteed to be, but it's guaranteed to be a bum or some world, basically. Let's see. Now, what I was going to, and one of the bums, the game members, and so you've got 130 walking around saying, you will do this. And the retardo is blah, blah. And one of the whores in the janitor's room, I think it's change. She thinks she's very big because she's friendly with retarded security guards from the Pike Place Market Development Authority that police. Officer Bobby that's allegedly slept or brown eyes, I don't know. And he was at the Pike Place, drugs and slavery, child molestation rings, kiddie porn, you name it, and he's a Satanist. In the LaSalle Hotel, it's an actual apartment building, and I faced the pub. They actually had satanic ceremonies. Building. I believe it might connect to even not just basements, but buildings or a building space underneath, because there is an underground area of sea. It's a tour. A little more is lost each year. We've had light rail installed, so I don't know how much is here. I don't know cut off, but so mechanism under some of the apartments to put you in people. The building that's uterus. Blah blah blah. Gotta get her to leave. Blah 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 blah. Gotta get her to leave. Well, actually, I'm gonna. I just want you to be aware doing on me. They've wounded the whole U.S., including the last 13 years. So, or pains of these Schmendrick evil. Actually put them on video, and or excuse me, you can follow and see them, and so enhance the sound. Like I just heard comes from my chalk. So with the illegal, I think is what they've committed. They're allegedly getting paid by someone. Where's that someone getting paid? Where's money? Also, when they do crimes to their victims, you on do pay the IRS. They're paying the IRS with criminal. Income. Money. Here's my. This is the. They would set other wrongs against me. Remember, with a one click. Short time. So I was hunted by very long to well, it took me a couple of years. Basically, refresh themselves, and if that came to an end, which it needs to forever. And remember, say spirits that they just remember. And one of eat my deer. Ever, amen. So bumps here were threatening me earlier, including be a slave. Yappy. False relationship with you if they promote the false relationship of your grandma. Just like movies, all the movies you've seen, they've used all that. So if you want to spot gangs, Washington, 133, chalk, and the University with Gregory Home. He's 50. It's up the hill, left inside church. You go down a basement step. So if you want to spot bloods, also go to go .5'6". She's raping people. And by the way, retardos filth. To and they think they're going to have what they're calling the brothels of. So they have a world take. Wars and still the. See, this is where the janitor's room is. 3 security guards here. They're not FBI. They're not police. They are morons from the LaSalle Apartments, PDA, Pike Place Market Development Authority. And they thought they'd break in there. It's a drippy hoe, and there's another drippy black hoe in there. Badly. I've also taped up this. Now I'm going to tell you that the members are in subways, also in on plagues. They're in on plagues, plaguing people. Diabetes. Now, they take where the murderer takes the asthma and also drug addicts, from what I hear, get the drugs in there better.